But first, the unlikely story of how a man and a dog found each other. It doesn't involve an adoption, but it does involve a runaway of sorts. We go to Charles in the field for more on that story.
That's right, Dan. It all started right here on this rural street in Connecticut when Lucas Walsh was pulled over for what seemed to be a routine traffic stop, but ended with a plot twist no one expected. So yeah, I was just rolling down this street right here, and I guess you could say I was driving a little dirty because I just got a couple pounds from Cali that I was bringing to my boy's house to flip, when sure enough I see the red and blue in my rearview mirror. And I was a little nervous because this was before legalization and everything. And sure enough, the cop had a canine with him, and I thought for sure I was going to jail. But the dog kind of came up to me first and sniffed me, and then immediately I felt this connection between us. And then he went around and searched the whole car, and the cop was just like, he didn't signal anything, so you're free to go. And then the dog came back up and kind of rubbed up against me, and I was like, yo, that's my fucking dog, thinking I'd never see him again. Well, it turns out Lucas was in for quite the surprise that evening. Here's Officer Johnson with his side of what happened next. It started off as a routine traffic stop. I had pulled Mr. Walsh over for failure to signal, and when I approached the vehicle, I did smell a subtle scent of marijuana coming from the car. But without my canine signal, I didn't have probable cause to search the vehicle, so I let Mr. Walsh go with just a warning. I returned back to the police station, but at the end of my shift, Canine Officer Roscoe was nowhere to be found. And this is where the story takes an unsuspected turn. So I get back to the house after flipping the pounds, and I light up a doobie on my porch, just counting my blessings that I wasn't arrested. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, that canine is running up to me, and at first I'm all paranoid, like, thinking that they came back to arrest me, but nobody was with them. He straight up ran away from the cops just to be with me. I guess he was just tired of being a narc. All of our canine officers are geotagged, so we were able to track Canine Officer Roscoe back to Mr. Walsh's residence. We showed up there assuring he wasn't under arrest, but we were going to be taking the dog back, being that he is property of the police force. But upon arriving back at the police station, Canine Officer Roscoe was nothing but disruptive. He refused to work with us, and in fact, the only drugs he brought to our attention was cocaine in several officers' lockers that had been stolen from the evidence room. So the cops came back to my house, they took him back to the station, but when Roscoe got back, he was just over it, man. He wouldn't snitch on anybody. The only people he ratted out were a couple of dirty cops. So they got over it, and they brought him back to me, and honestly, it's been the best blessing in my life, man. We've been best friends ever since. And one of the best perks of having him now is occasionally he'll find me weed that people have lost. So really, I'm just so grateful for the whole experience and to have Roscoe in my life.
Wow, what an amazing story. I bet Netflix is looking to buy the rights for that as we speak. And speaking of buying something, I gotta get that guy's phone number, am I right? All right, well, at the top of the hour, our special report. The USDA has approved the sale of lab-grown meat. But is it chicken meat or could it be pigeon meat?